Hey, you said you were going to ask me questions.
And that's where you get to say hello. This is gonna be a shit show.
It's going to be a shit show from hell.
All right,
Hello
Mama
there.
Lady.
Welcome to the Bucklersberry Lemonade Podcast.
Welcome to a special episode of Bucklesberry Lemonade, the podcast where we dive deep into cold cases that continue to perplex and haunt us. I'm your host, Lisa, with my loving and sweet husband, Tim. And today we have a chilling tale that was originally brought to light by a Reddit poster over 7 years ago. A big shout out to you now, Zero W, for sparking our interest in this mysterious and suddenly unsettling series of unsolved mysteries.
And thank you, my lovely wife. It all began when you/now Zero W started researching cold cases from Virginia Beach, spanning the years of 1973 to 1986. Shockingly, these cases seem to be linked by a common thread: a potential serial killer who's went unnoticed for far too long. Let's explore the cold cases.
I agree. Let's start with June 30th, 1973. Lynn Seethaler and Janice Petro. How do you say it, honey? I don't want to butcher them.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah, it's I believe it to be Pi Trapola, Janice Pi Trapola.
Okay,
And
thank you.
guys, if we have not pronounced that correctly, we do apologize.
Please. They were both 19 years old, white women. They were visiting Virginia Beach from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they were staying close to the ocean front at Farrah's Motel on 10th Street and Atlantic Avenue. And this motel was made up of single small cottages. Their bodies were discovered by a motel employee on Sunday the 30th after failing to check out at noon. They had stayed there for about a week and had planned to leave that day. They were both strangled and beaten about the upper body. Lynn had her throat slashed and was shot twice in the head. Janice was SA and shot in the head 3 times. They were reportedly found in separate rooms. The cottage was not ransacked, but there had been signs of a struggle. Can you imagine?
But you know that's right off the bat. That makes me wonder. We know they were traveling together. They were together. They knew each other. But why would they be in different rooms? I guess different rooms meaning the cottage itself. Like
Maybe the cottage, that's how it was set up. I mean, I don't know. We hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen pictures of it back then or anything, unless, have you dug up any old pictures or anything?
no, I've got some pictures of the actual place that'll be in the roll through as we do this. But
Oh, okay.
I guess initially I'm thinking in the cottage, I'm thinking she was found in another cottage, but the reality of it is she was in another room of that
Yeah.
same cottage. So then you got to ask yourself too, nobody heard bullets, nobody heard gunshots.
But I wonder how close the cottages were to each other.
Cottages are spaced apart, but I mean
They're not too far.
it's earshot.
Wonder why
And
nobody heard anything.
I don't know. And that's just one thing that you know, as we delve into this and a lot of this come out, you know, there's some speculation as we read down through the notes, as we go down further. Maybe this was a college student in the military because of all the military bases that are around.
Yeah.
And back then, you know, sailors would go out on and then come back in to port, and they could be gone 2 or 3 months at a time. And that could explain some of the gaps that we have here,
Yep.
but it doesn't really necessarily explain why nobody heard these gunshots.
No, that is yeah. Not unless, well, it says it was in the early morning hours.
People asleep, you guess?
Maybe. Could be a good explanation because, you know, when I go out, I don't usually hear anything.
Yeah, see, it says they were last seen around 11:30 the night before, 11:30 p.m. They apparently returned to their cottage and were estimated to have been killed in the early morning. Janice was 5'7", around 115 pounds, with blue eyes, long brown hair. Lynn was 5'2", 142 pounds, with brown eyes and long brown hair. And that's something else that makes you wonder too, because as we go through these cases,
You're going to see he's got a type.
he's got a type, and they're petite. You know, so
Very petite and very, yeah, very.
So I guess maybe that was by design.
Could very well have been.
And, you know, one thing that we'll touch on, I guess we'll touch on it a little bit later. We do know that there's a Colonial Parkway serial killer or serial killers that plagued certain parts of Virginia during the 80s as well. And so there has been some speculation. Could this all been tied in? I don't know. But in doing research for this, there's some speculation that there could have been several serial killers at large in Virginia around this time, between the 70s to the early 90s.
There's something this poster on Reddit has made clear, and I've coming to do research. We know now too is clear. I mean, back then you didn't hear a lot about these. It's like the police didn't want to put it out there.
No, and that's very unfortunate. And it looks like too the police finally owned up and said, you know, hey, we may have a serial killer at work. But two, you know, lack of communication. I mean, you know, back in the 70s, when you picked up a phone to make a phone call, you had a party line. There may be other people talking on the phone. Technology is just not as fast paced now. I mean, then as it is now. But I will say one thing: if you want to find some good detectives, and I know we might get some flack for this, but Reddit, Web Sleuth, places like that, you got some people who put in some serious research. So let's just say right now, our hat's off to all of you armchair detectives, because you guys have been busy and you've solved a lot of things. So,
Very true.
very true. All right. So that's June 30th. That happened in 1973 on June 30th. And then I'll go into the next one, which happened June 23rd, 1974. So it's almost like you got a pattern around the times as well. But Beverly Christensen, or
Christensen,
24-year-old white female, she was found July 23rd, June 23rd. She'd been strangled and stabbed in her apartment on the 2500 block of Arctic Avenue. The apartment complex was located just 15 blocks away from the cottage where Lynn C. Taylor and Janice Patropula had been murdered almost a full year before. Beverly was last seen that afternoon. The previous afternoon, she had blue eyes, blonde hair, 5'5", 150 pounds. And
And she said she'd found almost no information about her case other than the aforementioned information on the city website's cold case files.
yeah, there's very little about her at all. But interestingly, June 23rd, 1974, the first Lynn C. Taylor and Janice Papatropola, June 30th, 1973. So almost a year, almost a year to the day this happened. I find it ironic that she's the next one, Beverly, 15 blocks away from the cottage.
Yeah, I know.
And, some people can say, well, hey, 15 blocks is a lot. I get that, but anybody that's ever been to Virginia Beach, you walk everywhere, or you used to walk everywhere.
Yeah.
And yourself from walking all over everywhere when you were younger. What's 15 blocks?
I used to walk everywhere in my neighborhood. I don't know how many blocks. I mean, I would walk everywhere. And you know where I lived, and I walked from my house to the end of the neighborhood to go to the swimming pool. I mean, it was nothing to go. Yeah. So, but then we go. Are we done here?
Yeah, but again, you go back to again, she kind of fits the MO,
Oh, she does. She's look at her build. I mean, she's petite.
And I just Googled it while we were sitting here talking. 15 blocks is not quite a mile. It's almost a mile.
And so, I hate it for these girls.
This is horrible.
It is.
And guys, the other thing too, when we do podcasts like this, we are not in any effort making an effort to glorify a serial killer or a murderer.
No, we're trying to bring to light the victims. We want whoever has done this. We want justice for the victims.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what this podcast is really all about. And 15 blocks, and that's kind of that's very close. I mean, you're not quite. Well, let's round up. Let's just say a mile. You're a mile from the cottage where the first two were killed. And we know from doing research and reading and things like that, serial killers like to stick to a certain area.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened here. So now we're up to January 24th, 1977. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, she didn't arrive for work at the restaurant. And
Judy Ann Sylvester's who we're talking about.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was getting ready to do that. Smarty pants.
You go right ahead, my dear. You are in control.
You remember that?
I do remember.
She did not arrive at work at the restaurant in Virginia Beach on January 24th and has not been seen or heard from since. She lived in an apartment in the northern part of the city. And it is not mentioned whether or not she had a vehicle, because she had often rode her bike, though it was reportedly found in her apartment by her boyfriend, who lived there for some time after she vanished. It is unclear if he had been living there prior to that. Now she was a 22-year-old white woman with blue eyes and long brown hair, and was very petite, 5 foot, 5'1", and between 100 and 110 pounds. Her nickname was, I guess, Jaw, and she was wearing a handmade necklace when she disappeared. Unfortunately, like the others so far, there are not many details available. So that goes to show you, if they'd have gathered enough, I mean, they could have seen. But there's such a long, look how far, 74 to 77. Well, not too far, because June to January, maybe two
Well,
and a
you got
half
a
years.
you got a 3-year gap from 1974 to 1977,
And then
but
he picks up pace.
he picked up pace. But let's go back and see. This is the hard part. Okay, how do you go about figuring out the naval ships that were in and out of port during this time? Could this person have been in the Navy, committed these murders in port, in the early part of the 70s, in 73, and then had been out to sea, and then comes back, and now here we are in 1977 with Judy Ann Sylvester. And you know, we keep going back to it. We keep talking about them being so petite, but you notice the age of them too. She is 22, Judy Ann Sylvester, whereas the first two, Lynn Seathaler and Janice Pietropola, they were both 19. And as far as Beverly, did we find an age on her?
Beverly. I thought,
Yeah.
no, I don't know.
No, we don't. We don't really know how old. Well, she was 24 years old, so far she's the oldest.
Yeah,
So at
but
24,
still, that's not old at
yeah,
all.
that's not old at all. Um, the boyfriend was never treated as a suspect, at all,
No.
and I don't know about that one. I mean, this one could be the work of a serial killer. It could be completely unrelated,
Yeah,
because it looks like who the serial killer in question um, likes to leave
she's
them where
not.
he finds
She's
them.
been disappeared and hadn't been seen, or she could have just took off.
She could have. I I feel like that's not the case though. I mean,
I don't think so either.
this could be the work of another individual who had been watching her ride her bike.
Could have been the work of her boyfriend who wanted her apartment.
Right? You never know. You know,
I'm joking too, because I do not want the boyfriend to target me and sue me because I have nothing.
16,
16th, same year.
same year, 1977.
Lorraine Zimmerman.
Yep.
Lorraine Zimmerman.
Yep. Lorraine was last seen living a nightclub in Virginia Beach with an unidentified man. Her body was discovered late that same December in 77, 100 miles north of Tappahannock.
No, excuse me.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, okay, late. Never mind. Okay, so it happened in July, and she was not
She was
discovered
till
until
December.
December.
hmm
Okay.
She was discovered 100 miles north in Tappahannock, Virginia. She also was 24 years old, originally from Seattle, Washington, and was temporarily staying with friends in Norfolk. She was known to hitchhike, which almost everybody did in the 70s.
Yes.
Her father described her as a girl who knew no fear. There's almost no information about her either, except for an old newspaper article that was managed to be dug up on another site, Web Sleuths. Um, she's an outlier among these cases due to her body being found so far away, but she's being included in this. This is what the Reddit poster is saying, because of her age, a habit of hitchhiking, and being in a similar time frame. So that I find that interesting too, because she's definitely in that time frame.
And yeah, she's got a lot of the same. Yep.
Yeah. But
Now well, go ahead.
you you got all those bases there, though. I mean, what's the proximity between that and another base? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean,
Excuse me.
just got so much there.
I mean, this could be related. I mean, but that is a serious break in the way that they do things, though.
Mm-hmm. That really is. But then we have Miss Barbara Jean Monaco. It's
Give
a
me one.
disappearance.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
But I did want to point out too, since we're talking about naval bases, there is one in Norfolk.
Okay.
So how do we know? I mean, that's a tie-in.
That is. That really is.
I mean, how do we know that that's not the
You
point?
know, we don't know. We do not know.
Yeah.
Because now, go back to we teach these men and now men and women, what do we teach them to do? To go and kill. And when we bring them back, that's all they know to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing to me, but when you pull this up and get to digging in this, um, you've got a base in Portsmouth, Virginia. Portsmouth, Virginia is not that far from Norfolk. It's not that far from Virginia Beach either.
I
You've
didn't
got
know that.
you've got a base in Norfolk, Dahlgren. I hope I didn't mispronounce that. Fort Story, which is located alongside the Chesapeake Bay and Virginia Beach. Then you've got the NAS Oceana. So, you know, what if that's just where this killer it you know how we always come up with our own little theories before we do this podcast, and mine is obviously I think this was a Navy guy. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know, somebody with a broader education of how going into port and leaving port would know better than I do. But how do you know that this guy wasn't in port in Norfolk at this point in time?
That's true.
I mean, it's just something to think about.
No, I agree. I
So,
agree. I'm not saying I kind of am leaning your way.
and then, like you said, we go in time to August 23rd, 1978, and you were getting ready to go into talk about Barbara Jean Monaco. So go ahead.
And her older sister, they were vacationing in Virginia Beach for a week in August of 78. They were visiting from Derby, Connecticut for Barbara's 18th birthday just days before. And they were staying at the Aloha Hotel. Oh, I'd had to stay there. My love for Hawaii.
Yeah, the Aloha.
Yes, on 15th Street. And on the evening of the 22nd, they went to the Country Comfort Bar on Pacific Avenue. And they said a man at the bar was pestering Barbara, trying to get her to go out with him by telling her he had a yacht, but she declined. And she left her sister at 1 a.m. on the morning of the 23rd to walk 6 blocks away to another bar called Peabody's, where she was planning to meet up with a bartender, but she'd never arrived. She's not been seen or heard from again, aside from alleged sightings of her getting into a car on Pacific Avenue with 45 men inside.
That's scary. That's so
That,
scary.
yep. And another source gives a different account in which Barbara left her sister at their hotel room planning to go walk to buy cigarettes and never returned.
Yeah, I find that odd too that you've got two accounts on this one. Um, that's what I find kind of interesting.
I do.
In doing the research, she had recently been diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And that's a neurological disorder that can cause paralysis.
Oh.
And in one of our other podcasts when we were talking about Blanche Taylor Moore, that's also
Yeah,
symptom of arsenic poisoning.
exactly. Yeah, that's
So
right.
let me
You
get to
thinking she was poisoned there?
no. Hopefully,
Okay, I was getting ready to say.
but the thing that is interesting here when you go back to and you were getting ready to read through that, and I'll let
What
you go ahead and do that. But um,
about her when her family offered a $10,000 reward,
yeah,
leading for the information to find her dead or alive? An informant named Condor said he had been present while she was SA'd and murdered by 4 men on the night she vanished. He alleged that she was abducted from Pacific Avenue, forced into a sedan, driven to a cottage on a lake near the Oceana Naval Air Force Base. Monaco's Charlie Project page says Oceana, Virginia, but the only place with that name is the base, which is in the city of Virginia Beach. Killed and then dumped in a lake. It is not specific whether or not it was the same lake. The lake was dragged, and while police did not find a cinder block with a rope tied to it, no remains were recovered. When authorities told the man that he would not receive immunity for his role in the crimes, he stopped cooperating. And they know the subjects' names, and Barbara's family believes the story is true, but there is apparently not enough evidence to make any arrest, and her body has never been found.
that's again okay. So let's say that happened just the way that it happened.
Uh-huh.
That makes sense. Okay,
It does make sense.
it makes perfect sense, and we do know in doing research on this, there's statistics that say when a person is on vacation, they their guard goes way down, and
Yeah.
they may engage in behavior they normally wouldn't have. At home, yeah. Would you go walk to the store for a pack of cigarettes? Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But maybe she did. Maybe that's exactly how it happened. But don't you find it kind of odd? Um, the eyewitnesses are saying she was taken somewhere close again to another naval base. So in this case, was this the serial killer? Was it some guys from the bar who took offense because he got his feelings hurt? Because you can look at her, she's a pretty girl.
Yeah.
And how do you know that it didn't happen that way? Or was this a serial killer and some of his buddies?
I believe he was part of it.
What makes you think that?
How would he know?
Where to take her?
Huh?
Where to take her?
How did he know what happened?
Oh, the guy here. Yeah, I definitely believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely believe that too.
So I don't believe him coming and saying anything. He should get any special treatment. Why do you want special treatment? You didn't afford it to her.
Yeah, she wasn't afforded anything,
Nope.
and I feel like that. Could she be related? Maybe she is. Maybe she's not. I'm not sure, but
I believe she is.
looks questionable. And what did you find out about Jimbo Moore Jr. or James Jimbo Moore?
He gave the police information that he reportedly could have only known if he had been with Barbara, on the night of her disappearance. And he told them he would take a polygraph. But just hours after speaking with the detectives, he committed suicide outside his apartment.
Yeah, he definitely knew something.
He knew something. he was in on it. But as far as him committing suicide, I'm not sure if he committed suicide or if he was like the Clintons, people who committed suicide.
Hey, I don't know. It's just mighty questionable. So he, excuse me, he held on to that for a long time, didn't he?
Yeah, so why come out now? Because of money?
Yeah, I think it might be viable to say he might have been a sack of shit. Sorry, sponsors.
Do what?
I told the sponsors I'm sorry.
Yep.
Um, that looks like to me somebody who a sack of shit. That's just I'm sorry. It looks like but again, you know, was he one of the guys in the bar? Is Did somebody just see her and say, "Hey, she's walking down the street. Let's pick her up"?
Yeah, I know.
So we fast forward a little bit in time because remember that was August 23rd, 1978. Now we're back to June 9th, 1979.
Yes.
And there's got to be some kind of pattern there. There's something there. And that's why I keep going back to the naval thing. Okay.
I know. Kind of seems that way.
Yep. Marcia Estelle Remnick, and she disappeared. Was last seen in Virginia Beach by her roommate on June 9th when she told her that she was going to visit a friend at the oceanfront. She usually got from one place to another by walking or hitchhiking. There were rumors that Marcia may have been in Florida after her disappearance, but they were never able to confirm these rumors. Marcia was only 17 years old. She had either brown or green eyes, long brown hair, 5'3" to 5'4", about 110 pounds. A mole near her elbow. Information about her, unfortunately, is also scarce. Think about it. That's almost the identical.
Yes. But see, they're also, look at how much you could stand them side by side. I bet they would almost look just alike.
That's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
But she has went to see somebody, and who was this somebody? You know, just a guy I met.
I know. It is
bar.
just, it is so sad, though.
It is very sad.
Yep, it is so sad.
She let's see.
Okay. Now, how about Alice Margaret Eskew?
Well, I pulled up at the Charlie Project. I pulled up Marcia there. She doesn't look a whole lot like Barbara Jean Monaco, but she's young. She's got brown hair. I mean, she's definitely in that type mode for sure. Definitely in that.
Is she?
Yeah. Birth date was 05, 07, 1962, so she would have been 61 years old now. But again, same. And see, if you've got a serial killer at work, let's go back to my naval theory. I'm interested to hear your theories. But like I said, in Virginia Beach, you pretty much walk everywhere. You know, it's like when we go downtown, we walk everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay?
Especially in the summer.
In the summer, you walk everywhere. So this guy or guys have a type. They like that type. He likes that type. That's what they single out. You think about the thought process. If you've got, let's say it's at night and you're walking from the ocean front to the bar, and that's how everything is on Virginia Beach. They're all right there together. How quickly could a serial killer see 5, 10, let's say between 5, 10 women walking down the boardwalk, walking down the beach, walking down the sidewalks, the boardwalk, and all that, and single one out just that quick? Okay, how long would that take? I bet it doesn't take that long
It probably wouldn't take long.
because he's got a type. He knows.
He knows what he's looking for.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is, how do you go about, and that's the psychology of it. You see your potential victim, and do you grab and run? Do you go up and engage in small talk? I mean, with Marcia Remnick and Barbara Jean Monaco, both of them were going to meet somebody. Was that how it was set up? Hey, nice to see you, nice to meet you. Let's meet later. Maybe have a few drinks, see if we've got chemistry.
Maybe.
Is that how he went about it?
He could have.
Or were they just grabbing?
Just depends, I guess. He might have had some planned and some were just grabbed.
I don't know. You still hearing me okay?
I am.
Okay.
Because I weren't at one time. But I was, but I weren't.
Okay.
I could hear you, but it said everything sounded fine, so.
Yeah, I just had a little audio right there. But that's in looking at her picture on the Charlie Project, and any of them that you want to look at, guys, all you have to do is take their name, punch it right in Google. Google will pull up the Charlie Project or Web Sleuth or Reddit or anything like that, so that you can do your own research and see what you can come up with. Feel free to do that. But that's all we really know about Marcia Estelle Remnick. There's really nothing else there. So,
Well, Miss Alice Margaret Eskew. She was extremely petite. I'm going to go ahead and get into this because she was 5'1". She's 5'1". She was, and only 80 pounds. And she was similar in appearance, height, weight, hairstyle, somewhat similar facial features to Marcia Remnick.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so that was creepy to start with.
Very creepy.
And she was last seen leaving her home at the 3100 block of Arctic Avenue, blocks down from the street from where Beverly Christensen was murdered, in her apartment in 1974. Just before dusk on Tuesday, September 4th, and walking towards Laskin Road, she never returned home. Her body was found at around 5 p.m. 2 days later on September 6th, and several miles away in a densely wooded area of First Landing State Park, formerly called Seashore State Park, just off Shore Drive. She had been strangled, but the cause of death was blunt force trauma from being beaten. She was an 18-year-old white female with dark-colored eyes and long blonde hair. I'm telling you.
Oh, wow. She looks a lot like
I told you.
Remnick. I mean, she does. Wow. That's scary.
I told you. It's scary, isn't it?
She does.
That's so you know that one had to be So, and I don't know if he's ever I don't know, but I know he's going to get his components. I hope if not in this world, he will. His maker will take care of him.
So we see here that she lived on the 3100 block of Arctic Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
She literally lived blocks down the street from where Beverly Christensen was murdered in her apartment.
and didn't know it. And I bet you did not know it.
So she was found several miles away, densely wooded area of First Landing Park, State Park. So again, now we got to wonder, where's this serial killer stay at? Is he really in the Navy and out, in and out?
That's right. So do we go through your theory
Mhm.
again?
Or is it somebody that lives around here?
Is it in somebody's family that's related to a lot of these people? Huh.
I don't know. I don't know. That's
Spooky.
And again, very young, 18 years old. I mean, so far the oldest person that we've seen, so
24. So you can take us into the next one.
All right. So on December 24th, 1979, so just a few months later, Brenda Joy Bancroft, Brenda's family, last saw her on Christmas Eve, a Monday, when she left her parents' home at the 4100 block of Talia Drive in Virginia Beach. She left in her 1978 orange Datsun B120 sedan and was expected home later that evening. She attended a Christmas party at Admiral Nick's
Oh,
on the 8100 block of Shore Drive, which is roughly a 20-minute drive from her house. That area of Shore Drive, that's the same street on the western end, opposite of where Alice Askew's body was found in the woods just off the road near the eastern end.
oh gosh.
That's located in Little Creek area right next to a Navy base. Little Creek, Fort Story. Remember, I read those off.
Yes, you did.
She was presumably last seen either at or leaving Admiral Nick's, the restaurant, and she didn't arrive home as planned. The next day, her parents became very concerned and filed a missing persons report. Several days later, on the 28th, December 28th, Brenda's mother and a friend were out looking for her near her apartment building when they saw her parked car on the 500 block of Spring Lake Crescent. Upon looking in the windows,
Oh,
oh my gosh, can you believe this? They discovered
they discovered. Go ahead.
her mom found her. Oh, Brenda's body stuffed upside down in the passenger seat dashboard with her legs resting on the seat. She'd been strangled. Brenda was 20 years old, about 5 foot tall, 5'5" tall, 5'5" tall, 153 pounds. And she's one of the taller ones, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
And she had medium length brown hair and blue eyes. Sometimes wore glasses, but also had contacts.
Wow.
Stuffed her in her. Now, see, here's the thing. What we were talking about earlier is you think about all these serial killers out that they just grab you and things like that. But look at all the Ted Bundys in the world. Look at John Wayne Gacy. They smooth talked you.
Mm-hmm.
So, did she meet somebody at Admiral Nick?
At the Christmas party.
Yeah. And I wonder if the police, in doing any of this, did they ask for a list of everybody who attended that Christmas party?
I wonder what the police did do. Did they even care? They didn't even let people know there could be to be on the lookout.
I don't know. I mean, and it's possible they did. Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, was the Christmas party friends? Was it her work?
Work. I mean, how old was she? She was 18?
She was 18, so, it could have been her part-time job if she had one. Friends. Hey, we're going to go, you're already 18. Let's go hang out and let's, things like that. And
Oh, yeah.
And then you get to be our age, and it's hell with a Christmas party. And but now, if we've got this list, if we've got a list of people who attended the party, can they be?
You need to. I hope they didn't do nothing. Does not sound like it. You can.
But could you cross?
It
Could you
don't.
cross-index that? Any of you guys? Any of you
Well,
guys live on Arctic Avenue? Any of you in the Navy? Makes you wonder.
yep, sure does.
All right, let me get my readers back on so I can. And then you're getting ready to go over the next one, which we go from 1979 to 1983.
At least we have a year, 79, a couple of years. We go to August 19th, 1983 to be exact. Joanne, or possibly Joan Zwingman, I hope I said that right, and Christine Pilzak. Joanne and Christine, they were visiting Virginia Beach from New Jersey for a work-related convention and were last seen around 7 p.m. the evening of the 18th. Their bodies were found the next day floating in the Chesapeake Bay.
Wow.
Their cause of death for both was drowning, and they also had injuries apparently consistent with beatings from a boat propeller.
Wow.
Inexplicitly, their deaths were initially called an accident, despite the facts that 1, neither woman was dressed for swimming, 2, it is unknown how their bodies got a mile offshore, and 3, no boaters had reported any passengers accidentally falling overboard or being hit by a boat that night. However, it must have been ruled a homicide sometime later. 4 inches tall and 133 pounds with blue-gray eyes and blonde hair, and very little information is available.
Wow. And see the MO on that's so much different.
Way different. So that, I don't even know if you could put that in there with that, other than, I don't know, the age is wrong, but it's not that far off.
No. A boat propeller. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe they fell in and got hit by the propeller. But
that is I don't know, that they could have actually done. I mean, was it on a boat? I mean,
well, it doesn't say they rented a boat or anything like that. It just said that they were found. They weren't dressed for swimming. They were a full mile offshore. No boaters had reported seeing any passengers falling over or hollering for help or anything like that. Maybe that was a moonlight stroll with 2 women and he pushed them over. I don't know. But I did want to touch on this from 1979 to 1983, that span of time. Do you remember what we had going on around that time? The Iranian conflict.
Oh, yeah.
So if you were in the Navy,
You weren't here. Good. I'd forgot.
Yeah. And that whole conflict lasted 444 days, so that's over a year. But if you were deployed, you would have been deployed prior because of everything happening. So again, keep going back to the Navy guy. But as far as Joan or Joanne and Christine, I'm not so sure about them. I'd like for whatever had happened to them to be solved because they deserve that, but something seems different here.
Yeah, that one to me doesn't even feel like the rest of them. Of them.
Just feels different. Um,
Yep.
they were older, um, and you know they don't really fit either. One of them does. Joanne was 5'6", 141 pounds with long brown hair because it seems like all of them had brown to black hair. Um, but Christine, she had blonde hair with blue eyes. Maybe she was not the target. Maybe it was Joanne and she just got in the way. I don't know, but this one doesn't seem to fit.
No,
So you want me to do the next one?
you can.
So
But this one right here now, this is saying that her husband could have been the
her
one.
husband could have been the one here. January 25th, 1985, Lisa Ann Jolie, or Jolly. Lisa was last seen alive early in the morning on Friday the 25th by her husband, who said she was sleeping in their apartment on the 5600 block of Barnaby Court in Virginia Beach when he left for work. He was active duty in the Navy.
That's why I said that.
Yeah. When he returned home around 5 p.m. that afternoon, he found Lisa lying face down in the bathtub, which had been filled with water. She was fully clothed and had died from a combination of strangulation and drowning.
And that sounds like the one before.
Yeah, it does.
But this one here too is a little bit different because her weight is not right.
No, she, not that 177 pounds is large. It's not.
But the weight to these others is
She's
not
way taller at
consistent.
5'7" and 177 pounds.
She and Christine actually look quite similar, is what
Which is
this Reddit user is
which would
saying.
have been the blonde-haired, blue-eyed victim in the last one on the
Yep.
that was found in the water.
Yep.
Though Lisa was a bit taller and heavier, she and Christine actually look quite similar. And there's only been one article about that, but let's talk about that for a minute, okay? So you to hold down a 177-pound woman, you got to be bull strong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then think about it too. You got to really be strong to hold her down and run the water at the same time, or was she unconscious? But why would you pick drowning her in the tub?
And what would make you think you could get away with it
And the other thing that's weird in this case too,
in her house?
there's no sign of forced entry.
Mm-hmm.
None. No sign whatsoever of forced entry. So how'd you get in the house? You know? Was this a lover's quarrel gone bad? Did she have, I don't know. I mean, I'm speculating, but I find that odd that there was really no signs of struggle. Her husband comes
I
home
find all of that too.
and
Yep.
just finds her dead. I question the husband in that one. Although that's eerily similar to the case right before that. So now, do we have a new serial killer? Is this just two women who took a boat ride that didn't turn out well? A woman whose husband may or may not have unalived her? Do we have the work of another serial killer who's attracted to water? Because you've got the Smiley case murders who all involve water.
I know. I don't know. What do you
I don't
think?
know.
I think they were mixed in there. It could
Could
be.
be the work of a different serial killer. You're getting to be at a time now. This serial killer would have to be, if he was in the Navy at this point in time, he's got to be in his 20s, maybe 30s. What if he's already in jail for something else? What if he's dead? And that's because you got all these gaps and they've got to be explained. But again, this one here,
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. I find it really eerie that you have the case before that and this one. That's weird.
Yeah, me too.
So from January, that was January 25th. Now we go to July 16th.
July 16th, 1985. Raffaella G. Bryant.
And Lori Ann Zimmerman was also murdered on July 16th, 1977.
Oh, okay.
So, was Raffaella an anniversary kill?
I don't know.
Almost 8 years later. But makes you wonder. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm thinking out loud. Go ahead.
That's all right. At 5:30 on Tuesday, July 16th, a call came into a 911 about a burning vehicle in a field on the 4100 block of First Court Road. Police and the fire department arrived minutes later and found a car. It's a green 72 Dodge Swinger with a vinyl top and Pennsylvania license plates engulfed in flames. In the passenger seat was the badly burned body of 20-year-old Raffaella Bryant. The car had been driven into the field and set on fire intentionally, and Raffaella had been strangled. She had last been seen around 12:20 that morning when she left work at a restaurant near the oceanfront called the Lemon Tree, located on the 18th Street and Atlantic Avenue. She was supposed to pick up her young son from a babysitter before going home, but never arrived. Her purse was found on Shore Drive, the same street that Brenda Bancroft disappeared from, and Alice Esquew's body was found near, about a mile west of Atlantic Avenue. Raffaella was white, 5'6", 125 pounds, with dark brown eyes and long black hair. Another case I have only found a single article about.
And there you go. We're back on track with those older homicides now.
Mm-hmm.
And again, she's in the profile.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, so at this point, from 73 to 85, that's we're over 12 years now.
Yep, we got one on 86.
Yeah, this and I find it odd that her purse was found same street Brenda Bancroft disappeared, and where Alice Esquew's body was found near. So again, you've got ties to that area yet again. So I think this one's definitely part of it.
Tied
Yeah,
with it.
I do.
I do too.
All right, guys, as we get ready to wind this up here in just a minute, she was last seen sometime the night before at the Bayside Public Library, which, check this out, which was across the street from the school. The school that is located literally right next to Barnaby Court, where Lisa Jolie had been murdered the year before. How about that?
Mm-mm.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yep.
And that's the one that was murdered in the bathtub.
Wow.
And that's, again, that's just too. So maybe
it's
maybe
all.
it is. I mean, that is just the craziest thing that is literally next to it. It's right there. And it looks like Roberta was 22. She worked in an office and frequently spent time in the Aragonia area of Virginia Beach, as well as Ocean View area of Norfolk, which is the city over. Remember I told you they were close.
Mm-hmm.
She was 5'3", 134 pounds, long brown hair and hazel eyes, right there, right in that description. She had tattoos on one arm and on her abdomen. No information's been found other than that.
Mm. It's always just so sad, though.
It is. And
I hate it. I hate it.
yeah, I mean, it's it looks like to me, and I'm glad we did this podcast on this because this was fascinating. This is absolutely fascinating. I'd love to hear our listeners' theories as
On what they think. Yes.
yeah, because I'm going with the Navy guy.
I think it's the Navy guy. I think it's a Navy guy. I don't know which Navy guy. I don't know. He might be gone by now. We've never, I think it's somebody in military.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And it might not be Navy. It could be, we're not, fellas, guys, gals, we are not discriminating. You could be in the Army. You could be in the Air Force. You could be in the Marines. It does not have to be just Navy.
Yeah. But that's what's there. That's a big Navy area, you know.
I know, but we don't want them to think we're discriminating.
I'm just stating a fact, not discriminating.
Okay.
You know, if it was us, it would be Marine. That's what we live around. We got
but
Air Force
see,
Base,
we could.
And we got the rest are Marines.
We could still have something somewhere else around here because my brother, he was Navy, but he went somewhere and was on the Air Force, but he was still in the Navy. So
Yeah.
that's just.
But there are rumors that this could have been a college student, and you know, even starting with the September dates, you know, that's the day after Labor Day in 1979. You know, there's also been a theory that has floated around that they could have been with the circus or a fair. A long time ago, the circus was a big thing in Virginia Beach, Norfolk, things like that. You know, the fairs are big around here. Who knows? You know, I don't know how other states do the fair. I only know that for us, they come around between September and October.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. It's just crazy to me that you've got this gap from 79 to 83. And, you know, some of the theories are if it's a college student, maybe he graduated. Maybe he had family there, came in to visit. Maybe like me, I feel like he was deployed. I'm not sure. But guys, we want to thank all of y'all for listening.
Tail, thanks for joining me and my lovely husband for this episode of Bucklesberry Lemonade. Until next time, stay safe and never forget those who remain unsolved.
Exactly. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.